Hi, welcome to Lee on the Lectionary again. Today we're looking at the readings for the second Sunday of Epiphany in Year C. Those readings are Isaiah 62 verses 1 to 5, 1 Corinthians 12 verses 1 to 11, and John 2 verses 1 to 11. In this week's readings, we rejoice that in the coming of Christ all things have been made gloriously new. John's Gospel contains a number of signs revealing Jesus' glory and pointing to his work of transformation. The word for revealed in John 2 verse 11 is related to the Greek word Epiphany, which explains the use of this reading here at this stage in the year. Here at the beginning of his public ministry, when his time has just begun and his greatest hour of glory has not yet arrived in the Passion, it is still apparent that Jesus has come to bring something startlingly, lavishly fresh. Not for his followers the insipid waters of the old, but the rich abundance of better wine, a messianic feast. The Book of Common Prayer alludes to this occasion in the service for the solemnization of matrimony, the marriage service. It speaks of the honourable estate of marriage, which holy estate Christ adorned and beautified with his presence, and the first miracle that he wrought in Cana of Galilee. So his presence signified his approval of the proceedings as man and woman were joined together. His encouragement of the festivities and celebration pointed forward to the glory of the new creation and the wedding supper of the Lamb, as Revelation 19 verse 9 calls it, since marriage is a picture of Christ and the church. Our presence in certain places, especially if we're public persons and not simply private individuals, can also signify approval and blessing. Though naturally we reach out to those in darkness, we must also take care not to bless and adorn naively those things of this present world which led Christ to the agony of the cross. Continuing the marriage theme, Isaiah 62 expounds God's irrepressible ambitions for his betrothed people. They may be forsaken and desolate, but Zion shall one day be delightful and married. With unstoppable patience, he will ensure that rather than slumbering in her sins, she will be stunningly righteous and publicly saved from current captivity and obscurity in the sight of the nations and kings. She who once was by nature corrupted and filthy will be called by a new name and be a crown of beauty to adorn the glory of God. So as John Calvin rightly concludes as he comments on this, let us therefore be aroused by this goodness of God to the desire of leading a holy life, that his image may be more and more formed anew in us. For the next 3 weeks in January, we have a brief series of epistle readings working consecutively through 1 Corinthians 12 and 13. Paul's discussion of spiritual gifts is prompted by the Corinthians themselves. The now concerning phrase in chapter 12 verse 1 picks up the same phrase in chapter 7 verse 1 and chapter 8 verse 1. They were, as he had already been declaring in his opening thanksgiving, they were a church not lacking in any spiritual gifts, but the worldly use of those gifts had occasioned a certain level of disorder and confusion because there was still too much Corinth in the Corinthians. The apostle teaches them that the Spirit of God reorientates a person, focusing their attention not on themselves and their pleasures and comforts, but on the Son of God and his people. There are varieties of gifts from the same Spirit, varieties of service but the same Lord Jesus. Varieties of activity, but the same God, animating and activating each. As Anthony Thistleton says in his shorter commentary on 1 Corinthians, Paul's emphasis upon unity in diversity is grounded in the nature of our one God, who is Holy Trinity. The Trinity is at work in us, but not for our own excitation or exaltation. No, each manifestation is given for the common good. No one has every gift, and therefore all are needed, and all are in need of the church. This challenges and changes rugged individualists and undermines any basis for celebrity church culture.